The thing leaned closer to the sleeping man. Its movement was slow and careful, like it was afraid of breaking something. A quiet sound came through the audio. Not words at first. Just a soft hum, uneven and weak. Then a whisper. "I'm cold." The man in the bed stirred but did not wake. The fog-like figure moved closer, settling near his chest. Not touching, just hovering close enough that their outlines almost met. "I need your warmth," the whisper said. Elias felt a chill run through him. The voice was not threatening. It was not demanding. It sounded tired, fragile. The video ended there. The system clock blinked. Auto-delete. 0 hours, 5 minutes, and 41 seconds. Elias replayed the video. Then again, he checked the metadata. The upload source was strange. It did not come from any public network node. It was routed through an old research channel that should have been closed years ago. Location data was partially wiped, but not cleanly. He pulled up a star map and overlaid the background patterns visible in the video. The wall panel behind the bunk showed a narrow observation strip. Outside it, stars drifted slowly. Elias froze. He recognized the pattern. "That's not fake," he whispered to himself. The stars matched a classified deep space observatory used to study thermal anomalies near the edge of explored space. A place almost no one talked about anymore. Auto-delete. 0 hours, 4 minutes, and 10 seconds. Elias flagged the file for temporary hold, a small trick he wasn't supposed to use without senior approval. The system protested, flashing warnings. He ignored them and opened the attached comments. There were hundreds. Most were confused. Some laughed. Some accused the uploader of making things up. But buried among them were quieter messages. "She comes every night. It feels colder when she leaves. She never hurts me. I think she's scared." Elias leaned back in his chair. His heart beat faster. This wasn't one person. This was many. He searched the network for similar flags. Dozens of files came up, all marked for deletion, all with different titles but similar patterns. Human sleepers. Soft lights, pale shapes, whispered needs. Every file was scheduled to disappear within hours. "Why delete them all?" Elias muttered. The system's answer was simple and cold. Content destabilizing. Unverified. Potential panic risk. Auto-delete. 0 hours, 2 minutes, and 32 seconds. Elias made a choice. He copied the original file into a private archive partition, one not connected to the main purge system. It was a small rebellion, barely noticeable. He told himself it was just for research, just until someone smarter could look at it. But deep down, he knew he was protecting it. The station lights flickered, shifting into full night cycle. Outside the viewport, space stretched wide and dark. Elias felt suddenly aware of the temperature in the room, the gentle hum of the climate system, the warmth of his own body under his jacket. A strange thought crossed his mind. What if warmth was not just heat? He pulled up old xenobiology papers, the ones most people ignored, studies about non-corporeal life forms, energy-based beings, creatures that did not have flesh, bones, or blood. Most theories said they could not survive long near humans because human environments were too unstable, too emotional, too chaotic. But what if that chaos was exactly the point? Auto-delete. 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 45 seconds. The system attempted to override his hold. Elias quickly disconnected his terminal from the main network, forcing it into local mode. Alarms blinked silently, warnings stacking up. He ignored them all and watched the video one more time. The mist-like figure did not look dangerous. It looked lonely. When the timer hit 0, the public version of the file vanished from the network. Across human space, the title blinked out of existence. Officially, it never existed, but Elias still had it. And somewhere, on a quiet station far away, something made of fog and light drifted closer to a sleeping human, drawn not by force or control, but by something simple and ancient: warmth. Elias sat in the dark, staring at the frozen frame on his screen. He understood now why the title felt wrong to people who read it. It wasn't a warning. It was a message, and humanity, without realizing it, might be the only species in the galaxy capable of answering it. Elias did not sleep that night. The station was quiet, but his mind was not. He sat in his small cabin with the lights dimmed low, watching the copied video again and again. Each time he noticed something new. The way the mist-like figure moved slowly, as if every motion took effort. The way the whisper sounded less like sound and more like breath, trying to remember how to be voice. "I'm cold." The words stayed with him. By morning cycle, Elias had dark circles under his eyes and too many questions. He reported to work as usual, nodding to coworkers, acting normal. No one noticed anything wrong. That was the strange thing about secrets. Most of the time, they stayed invisible simply because people were busy. As soon as he reached his terminal, he disconnected it from the main network again. He opened the private archive and began to search deeper. He started with old thermal studies. Humans were known across the galaxy as warm world survivors. Their bodies wasted energy. They produced excess heat. Other species evolved to save every unit, to be efficient and calm. Humans burned energy like it was nothing. Most aliens saw that as a flaw. Elias didn't anymore. He pulled up reports from frontier stations, deep research outposts near cold regions of space. He searched for small details, not headlines. Sleep reports, climate fluctuations, unexplained power drains. Patterns appeared. In many places, temperature sensors showed small repeating drops during night cycles. Nothing dangerous, just enough to be noticed. And always near human living spaces. Elias swallowed. He checked crew logs. Humans reported strange dreams. Feeling watched, but not afraid. Waking up warmer than expected, even when climate systems were low. Non-human crew reported something else. They avoid our quarters. They stay near the humans. It feels colder when the humans are gone. Elias leaned back and rubbed his face. This was bigger than a fake video. He opened one of the deleted files he had recovered. Another human sleeper. Another pale shape. This one looked weaker, thinner, barely holding form. It hovered close to a woman curled under blankets. The whisper was barely audible. "Please." That was all it said. Elias felt his chest tighten. He paused the video and enlarged the waveform. There were faint signals buried under the audio. Not language, not sound, a low rhythmic pattern, almost like a heartbeat, but slower. He compared it to human sleep data. They matched, not perfectly, but close enough. Human bodies, when resting, created a rhythm that these beings seemed to follow, not steal, not feed on. Synchronize with, like sitting near a fire without touching it. Elias realized something important then. These beings were not using humans. They were aligning with them. At mid-cycle, Elias received a quiet message on his private channel. It was from Dr. Wren Hale, a senior thermal systems researcher stationed far beyond ILEX 9. Elias had sent her a vague inquiry earlier, careful not to include forbidden files. Her message was short. "You're asking the wrong question," it read.
"It's not why they come. It's why they survive only with you."
Elias hesitated, then sent her a single frame from the video. No title, no context. There was a long pause. Then another message arrived. "Where did you get this?" "I can't say," Elias typed, "but it's real." Another pause. Finally, "I've seen them too." Elias's hands trembled. Dr. Hale explained in careful, simple terms. Years ago, her team detected life forms near thermal dead zones in space, places where energy should not hold shape. The beings appeared briefly, then faded. They could not remain stable. Most scientists dismissed them as sensor ghosts until humans arrived. "When your people moved in," Hale wrote, "the signals stayed. Weak, but constant. We didn't understand why." Elias thought of blankets, of shared heat, of quiet breathing in the dark. "What are they?" he asked. "Cold-born," Hale replied. "They evolved in a universe that was warmer than it is now. As everything cools, they are being left behind." The words hit Elias harder than he expected. Being left behind. He looked around the station. Metal walls, soft lights, warm air. Humans had built homes everywhere they went, even in the coldest places. They never questioned the need for warmth. "Why don't they go to other species?" Elias asked. Dr. Hale's answer was slow. "Other species regulate heat perfectly. No fluctuation, no excess, no sharing. To them, warmth is a resource to be controlled. And humans? You leak it," she wrote. "All the time," Elias almost laughed. The next few days passed in a blur. He worked by day, researched by night. He learned that the beings did not appear near machines alone. They did not survive near reactors or artificial heat sources. It wasn't temperature that mattered. It was presence. Human warmth carried more than heat. It carried movement, micro-changes, emotional signals, the quiet chaos of a living body that had evolved through ice ages, starvation, migration, and loss. Humans were not stable, and somehow that instability made room for others. Elias began to notice things around himself, how he wrapped his hands around a mug without thinking, how people sat close together in public areas even when there was space, how humans shared heat without planning to. That night, as he lay in his bunk, he turned the climate system lower. The room grew cooler. He pulled a blanket tighter around himself and stared at the ceiling. He didn't know why he did it. At some point, half asleep, he felt it. Not touch, not pressure. Just a shift in the air, like a breath taken nearby. The room felt different, less empty. A soft sound reached his ears, not a whisper this time, more like relief. Elias did not open his eyes. He breathed slowly, evenly, letting his body stay warm and calm. He understood then what the galaxy had missed. Humans did not conquer space with weapons or machines alone. They carried comfort with them. And for beings who were quietly disappearing in the cold dark between stars, that comfort meant survival. When Elias woke, the room felt normal again. The air was still, the temperature steady, but he was smiling. Later that day, deletion orders came down harder than before. Entire file clusters wiped, keywords blocked, automated warnings sent to all archivists. Elias complied publicly. Privately, he copied everything, because now he knew this was not something to erase. This was something the universe needed to remember. And humans, messy and warm and unaware, were already changing the fate of lives they could barely see. Part 2 ends here. When you're ready, I can write Part 3 with the same length and style, where the secret begins spreading quietly across human space, and the galaxy starts to notice. The reports did not explode all at once. They spread slowly, like warmth through a cold room. Elias noticed it first in the small things: a maintenance worker asking for extra blankets in a shared sleeping area, a transport captain lowering night cycle temperatures to save power, but quietly allowing crew to cluster together instead of enforcing spacing rules. No announcements, no orders, just quiet changes, humans adapting the way they always did. Across human space, people began to talk in private channels. Not openly, not loudly. Just enough to know they were not alone. She comes when I'm asleep. It feels like someone sitting near a fire. I don't see her clearly, but I know she's there. They never described fear. They described comfort. Elias continued his work as if nothing had changed. He archived, tagged, and deleted as instructed. His supervisors praised his efficiency. They did not see the private archive growing quietly in the background, hidden under old maintenance logs and corrupted backups. He was not the only one doing it. That was the strange part. Dr. Hale sent him a message encrypted in outdated code, the kind only humans still used because no one else bothered to learn it anymore. "They're adapting," she wrote. "The Cold-born. They're staying longer now." "How?" Elias asked. "By learning you," she replied. On a distant colony ship, a non-human engineer complained that the human crew kept ignoring personal space rules during sleep cycles. The complaint was filed and dismissed. The engineer later amended it. "They are warmer together," the update read. "The temperature is stable when I am near them." On a mining outpost near a frozen nebula, the Cold-born appeared openly for the first time, not in cameras, in reflections. In the soft glow of control panels, human workers noticed pale shapes drifting close during rest periods. Someone brought extra heaters. The heaters did nothing, but staying close did. Elias watched one recovered video where a Cold-born form hovered near a group of humans sitting shoulder to shoulder on a long night shift. The being's shape was clearer than before. Not human, but closer, more defined. Learning. That scared the galaxy. The first official inquiry came from a non-human council representative stationed near Earth-controlled space. The message was polite but firm. "Unverified life forms have been detected near your populations. Please explain." The human response was slow and careful. "We are still studying it," the reply said. "No harm has been observed." That was true. What they did not say was that humans had already decided something without meetings or votes. If something came asking for warmth, they would not turn it away. Other species did not understand this. To them, survival was structure, efficiency, control. Humans survived by sharing. On Ilex, Nime, Elias felt the shift even in the station air. People lingered longer in common areas. They brought personal items into shared spaces. Music played softly at night. The station felt alive. One night, a junior technician whispered to Elias in the corridor. "You see them too, right?" Elias paused. "Yes," he said simply. The technician smiled with relief and walked away. That was how it spread. Not through proof, through recognition. The first time a Cold-born spoke clearly to a group, it was accidental. A group of humans resting after a long emergency repair sat together on the floor, backs against the wall. The being drifted closer than usual, its light steady. "Warm," it said. The humans laughed softly. "We know," one of them replied without thinking. The being paused, as if surprised. Then it stayed. As weeks passed, the Cold-born learned more words. Not many. Just enough. "Stay. Here. Safe." Elias read the reports with a tight feeling in his chest. This was first contact. Not with greetings or treaties, but with trust. The galaxy noticed when Cold-born stopped appearing near non-human installations entirely. Energy readings dropped. Signals faded. Entire research programs failed overnight. The beings were leaving. "They are choosing you," a council scientist accused during a closed session. "We are not choosing them," the human delegate replied. "They come on their own." That was the problem. No one liked a choice they could not control. Pressure mounted. Data purges increased. Keywords blocked. Human archivists received new training modules on emotional misinformation. Elias completed them all, passed every test, and saved everything anyway. One night, he received a message from an unknown source. No name. No location. "Thank you for not deleting us." Elias stared at the screen. "How do you know?" he typed. The reply came slowly, each word spaced apart. "We feel when you keep the light." Elias did not know what to say, so he did what humans always did. "You're welcome," he wrote. The Cold-born presence in his room that night felt stronger than ever. Not closer, just clearer, like a fog lifting slightly. He felt no fear, only a quiet understanding. The universe was changing, cooling, becoming less forgiving. Entire forms of life were slipping away, unnoticed, unmourned. And humans, without planning to, were becoming anchors, not heroes, not saviors, shelters. When a council order finally came down demanding isolation protocols, humans followed them carefully. Officially, doors closed, quarters separated. Unofficially, people slept closer, sat longer, wrapped themselves in shared warmth. The cold-born adapted again. They learned to wait. They learned patience from humans. Elias looked out through the station viewport at the distant stars. Cold light, endless dark. He wondered how many lives were still out there, fading quietly, and how many had already found their way to the only species that did not ask questions before offering comfort. The official record would never say how it ended. History files would show clean lines, reports, decisions made by councils and committees. Words like environmental adjustment and non-hostile coexistence. Nothing emotional, nothing personal. But that was not how it felt to the people who lived through it. Elias stood alone in the observation ring of Ilex 9, looking out at the stars. The station was quieter than it had been in years, not empty, calm. Like a room after a long conversation finally found peace. The cold-born were everywhere now, not in crowds, not loudly. They drifted through human spaces like gentle shadows of light, near sleeping quarters, in shared halls, along observation windows where humans liked to sit and think. They did not hide anymore. They also did not demand. They stayed where they were welcomed. Across human space, something strange had happened. People had stopped asking if the cold-born were real. They had moved past fear and curiosity into something simpler. Care. Humans adjusted routines without orders. Night cycles became softer. Harsh lights were dimmed. Blankets became common even on warm stations. People sat closer during long watches, not because they were told to, but because it felt right. The cold-born grew stronger, not powerful. Stable. Their shapes held longer. Their light steadier. Their voices clearer, though still soft. They spoke in few words. But meaning came easily. The galaxy could not ignore it anymore. The cooling had reached a tipping point. Entire regions of space lost energy, stability. Species that relied on perfect balance began to struggle. Systems failed not from damage, but from quiet loss. Warmth was leaving the universe. The councils finally asked humans for help, not with weapons, not with technology, with understanding. Elias was present when the request arrived, not because he was important, but because he had been there from the beginning. Someone needed to explain what could not be measured easily. "They don't survive heat alone," he said in the chamber, his voice steady. "They survive presence, change, living warmth." The council delegates listened, some with confusion, some with disbelief. "You're saying this cannot be engineered?" one asked. "It can be copied," Elias replied, "but not forced." Dr. Hale stood beside him, older now, tired, smiling faintly. "Humans don't optimize comfort," she said. "We share it." That was the moment the galaxy understood what it had missed. Humans had never tried to dominate space. They filled it the way they filled rooms, with noise, with mess, with warmth that spilled over. And the cold-born had followed that spill like travelers finding light in the dark. The final decision was not dramatic. No declarations, no celebrations. Just a change in policy. Human settlements would no longer be discouraged from clustering. Mixed species stations were redesigned to allow shared thermal zones, not mandatory. Optional. Choice mattered. The cold-born responded immediately. They spread further, not invading, arriving, appearing near those who allowed space for them. Not just humans now, but others willing to sit near humans, to accept imperfect warmth. Some species tried. Some could not, and that was okay. Not everything was meant to survive the same way. On Ilex 9, Elias prepared to leave the station. His work as an archivist was ending. Not because it was no longer needed, but because he had been reassigned. Cultural liaison, a strange title for someone who mostly sat quietly and noticed things. Before he left, he visited the private archive one last time. Thousands of files sat there. Videos, messages, whispers, saved from deletion. He did not release them. He understood now that some things mattered because they were quiet. That night, Elias slept on the transport ship, wrapped in a simple blanket. The stars outside were cold and distant. The Coldborn came, as they always did. This time, one stayed near his head, its light soft and steady. "Warm," it said. "Yes," Elias replied. "We try to be." The being lingered, then asked a question it had never asked before. "Stay?" Elias smiled in the dark. "Always," he said. Years later, long after Elias was gone, humans would not remember his name. He would be a footnote, if that. But they would remember what mattered, that humans had been watched by the galaxy for centuries and judged inefficient, emotional, wasteful. And when the universe began to grow cold and empty, it was not efficiency that saved lives, it was warmth. Humans did not build monuments to the Coldborn. They did not claim credit. They did not call themselves saviors. They simply kept the lights on. They left space at the table. They stayed close when something whispered that it was cold. And because of that, the universe did not end in silence. It ended in shared breath, quiet light, and the simple truth that sometimes the greatest strength a species can offer is the willingness to stay warm together. The file was not supposed to be there. Elias found it at the end of a long shift, when his eyes were tired and the station lights had already dimmed into night cycle mode. He was a junior data archivist on Relay Station Ilex 9, a quiet place built for sorting, tagging, and deleting old network content from across human space. Most days, his work was boring. Old news feeds, broken recordings, personal logs left behind by people who had died or moved on. The galaxy generated more data than it could remember, so people like Elias decided what stayed and what vanished. That night, his queue showed one final item marked in red. Auto-delete, 0 hours, 7 minutes, and 12 seconds. Reason: unverified content/emotional manipulation risk. The title made him pause. Watch before deleted. She keeps sliding into my sheets whispering that she needs my warmth. Titles like that were usually cheap attention bait. Fake stories. Emotional traps meant to farm views. The system flagged them fast and wiped them faster. Elias hovered his finger over the delete confirmation. 7 minutes left. He should have erased it without looking. That was the rule. But something about the phrasing felt wrong. Not dirty, not dramatic, just strange. Almost scared. He opened the file. The video quality was poor, grainy like it had been recorded on an old personal cam. The view showed a narrow sleeping space, probably a bunk on a long-haul research station. A human man lay under thin blankets, breathing slow. The lights were low. Nothing moved at first. Then the air beside the bed shifted. At first, Elias thought it was a visual glitch. Then he leaned closer. Something was there. It did not have a solid shape. It looked like pale fog, softly glowing, gathering itself into something almost human-shaped, but never fully fixed. Its edges blurred and reformed, like mist trying to remember what it was supposed to be.